the Christian Dior fashion house has gone from a small Parisian atelier to a world-famous fashion empire. The emphasized feminine silhouettes of Dior sparked furore in post-war Europe that starved for luxury. In a matter of years, it managed to conquer the hearts of fashionistas around the world, from Hollywood superstars to royal persons. Each of them was in a hurry to order a famous lace jacket, a lush skirt and a bizarre hat from Dior. In over 70 years of history, the Dior house has experienced ups and downs, new fashion trends and daring antics of invited couturiers. And at the same time, it managed to maintain its own style, sophisticated chic, the idea of which was preached by the founder of the brand, fashion designer Christian Dior. Now, decades after the death of the master, his brainchild is still on top of the fashion Olympus and continues to delight the public with new collections and luxurious service. The fashion house Dior was founded in 1946, when French fashion designer Christian Dior opened a clothing atelier in a small mansion on Montaigne Street in Paris. Money for this enterprise was allocated by the richest Frenchman of that time, the cotton king, Marcel Boussac. He had dozens of factories, and his atelier looked like a logical continuation of the business. Dior's motives were different. He was a creator. From early age, he adored painting and, while his father was alive and rich, he and his friend kept a not too profitable art gallery, where he sold the works of Matisse and Picasso. However, misfortunes fell on the Dior family. His brother went crazy, his mother died of cancer, and his father, a once successful fertilizer dealer, went bankrupt and died in debt. Christian, who never faced financial difficulties, had to face them now, and he began to look for a source of income. Before meeting with Boussac and opening his business, he managed to work as an assistant to several Paris fashion designers and even serve on one of the fronts of World War II, in the south of France. Returning to ruined post-war Paris and enlisting the financial support of Boussac, Christian Dior seceded to the atelier on Montaigne Street and began to develop the first collection of his own brand. A collection that stunned and conquered France, and then the whole world. The real birthday of the Dior house is February 1947, when the couturier presented the first fashion collection of the brand to the Parisian public, called New Look. The name fully reflected the essence of the outfits. They were as different as possible from those that the Parisians were accustomed to and tired of during the war. It was not clothes for practical comrade-in-arms in formless dresses, but for refined luxurious women, with feminine silhouettes and clear lines of figure. Yes, there was devastation, problems with water supply, lack of food. But people tired of wartime deprivation already dreamed of beauty and luxury. Women wanted to wear beautiful dresses and like others, men were eager to find themselves in the society of sophisticated and feminine companions. It was not surprising that the collection sparked a furore, and orders flowed like water. It was in this collection that Dior presented a laced bar jacket and a lush black skirt of romantic cut, outfits that had become the calling card of the brand. A couple of years later, they added the famous brooch in the form of a lily, Miss Dior perfume with notes of the same favorite couturier flower and famous court shoes. "I created a woman flower," Christian Dior liked to repeat. Being extremely superstitious, since then he has brought at least one image associated with the lily to each collection and necessarily created a coat with the name of the city in Normandy in which Granville was born. When he was young, the fortune teller predicted to the future fashion designer that he would first go broke, and then get rich thanks to women. He laughed in response, but the prediction came true, and subsequently on the eve of creating a new collection, Christian Dior always consulted with the fortune teller and asked her to read cards. However, even without a fortune teller, it was clear that the affairs of the fashion house confidently went uphill. Yes, he was scolded for the wasteful use of fabric, and Americans accustomed to comfortable and practical clothes did not appreciate narrow outfits that constrain movements at all. It was even necessary to create two special collections for the American market, more loose clothes. And after that, Dior stores in New York and other US cities also began to be filled with customers. Fame for the brand was added by its popularity among the famous fashion legislators, Hollywood actresses and royal persons. Actresses Rita Hayworth and Margot Fontaine immediately entered into the spirit of the Dior style. A little later they were joined by Sophie Loren and Elizabeth Taylor. Brilliant Marlene Dietrich appeared in Dior outfits in Alfred Hitchcock's 1950 film Stage Fright, and Olivia de Havilland wore the famous flowing wedding dress from Couture in the 1956 film The Ambassador's Daughter. Among the monarchs, Dior was highly appreciated by Princess Grace Kelly of Monaco and the younger sister of the British Queen Elizabeth, Princess Margaret, who joined the army of fans of the fashion house immediately after the first collection. In 1951, especially for the princess's birthday, Christian Dior created an exclusive dress for her, which impressed the avid fashionista Margaret so much that she gave the fashion designer an honorary lifetime membership in the British Red Cross. In her homeland, the princess was even temporarily forbidden to wear outfits from Dior due to deliberate luxury, so as not to once again provoke ordinary British subjects living in post-war deprivation. The Dior fashion wave even reached the Soviet Union. Ludmila Gurchenko in the 1956 New Year's film Carnival Night appeared in a La Dior dress, after which Soviet fashionistas immediately ran in the atelier with an order for the same. However, in general, the Dior style did not take root in the USSR, it was too chic and did not fit into the communist ideology of asceticism. It is known that about 1,700 employees worked for Dior in the 1950s. Couturier recognized only manual labor, which, he believed, provided clothing with individuality. In addition, since the 1950s, Dior has become almost the first brand to begin issuing licenses for its name for third-party manufacturers. Therefore, the fashion house decided to protect itself from the huge number of fakes that flooded the market. In 1957, shocking news spreaded the world. At the age of 52, Christian Dior suddenly died of a heart attack on vacation in Italy. He did not have time to transfer affairs and prepare the heir. A young talented fashion designer, an assistant to Dior, was appointed to the post of couturier of the fashion house. It was little known Yves Saint Laurent. He inherited the helm of a fashionable empire at a record young age, at 21 years old. Saint Laurent led the brand for a short period, from 1957 to 1960, until he was taken into the army. However, even in this short time, he managed to bring a lot of new things to the collections, in the spirit of the times. This was reflected already in the first spring-summer collection of Laurent, Trapezius, which he presented in 1958. The audience, of course, loved Dior's laced feminine silhouettes, but fashion was changing, and people wanted something new. Yves Saint Laurent at his own peril and risk presented a completely different cut, different from the original Dior. Fashionistas welcomed the outfits of straight and trapezoidal silhouettes with open arms. The collection was especially loved by the youth, the more democratic audience. "I forgot about the figure in favor of style," Laurent explained his decision. In 1960, the young couturier developed the Bitnik collection, which featured motorcycle jackets worn over roll-neck sweaters. At that time, replacing ubiquitous blouses with dubious sweaters with a neckband seemed unthinkable audacity. The leadership of the fashion house could not stand it and initiated the soft dismissal of Laurent, which successfully coincided with his summons to the army, where the fashion designer was soon drafted. And the post of the new head of Dior for a long 30 years, until 1989, was taken by Marc Bohan. Bohan did not like patronage, behaved modestly and avoided communication with the press. However, he was a first-class tailor and sensitive fashion designer. He carefully treated the traditions of Dior and retained the key idea of the founder of the brand in his collections, the idea of elegant femininity. Bohan's first collection, Slim Look, referred to Christian Dior's historical outfits of 1947, but it was its more flexible and mild adaptation. Under Bohan, the Dior children's store, Baby Dior, opened in Paris. At the opening ceremony, the ribbon was cut by Monaco Princess Grace herself, and the first model of the children's clothing line was Bohan's daughter, Marie-Anne. The fashion designer generally did a lot to expand the brand. The brand got a collection of more democratic ready-to-wear clothes and the first line of clothing for men. Important administrative and political changes also occurred under Bohan. In 1984, the fashion house ceased to belong to the first investor Christian Dior, the cotton king Marcel Boussac, who went bankrupt in the 1980s. Dior was bought literally under the hammer by the transnational corporation Moet Hennessy, Louis Vuitton, which saved the fashion house from ruin. After Bohan's departure from business, the couturier period with Italian roots began. At first it was a lover of relief silhouettes Gianfranco Ferré, then, rebel from the fashion world John Galliano, who breathed fresh avant-garde breath into the conservative Dior. True, in 2011, Galliano had to be fired. In one of the Paris bars on the eve of the high fashion week, couturier drunkenly allowed himself public anti-Semitic statements. Then he denied everything and referred to dependence on Valium and sleeping pills, but this did not save him from dismissal from Dior. With the arrival of the Belgian Yves Simons to replace him, minimalist outfits, futuristic prints and non-standard materials appeared in the collections, for example, latex. Having shown a farewell collection in the Louvre in 2016, Simons left the fashion house for personal reasons and opened the way for it to great social changes. It was after Simons that Italian clothing designer Maria Grazia Chiuri was chosen as creative director, the first woman at the helm of Dior in its history. Prior to this, Chiuri worked as a fashion designer at Valentino for 17 years and came to Dior as an experienced, original artist. Her first collection proved that Dior, which was scolded for conservatism, that she is ready to change and be modern. Chiuri relied on a mixture of femininity and audacity. In such a way, she dressed dummies in t-shirts with the inscriptions, "We should all be feminists," lush skirts and corsets on top of t-shirts. Dior woman can be strong without losing femininity. Chiuri outlined her creative position in this way. Today, the Dior brand continues to develop and retains leadership positions in the fashion and luxury industry. According to Forbes estimates, in 2019, fashion house sales reached unprecedented volumes, $55 billion. It produces clothing, shoes, perfume, accessories, cosmetics, and even mobile phones. However, it retains a trend for refinement and elegance in all of its products. Dior is true to its traditions. We can still find on sale more up-to-date versions of the famous bar jacket and those same Miss Dior perfumes with notes of the lily, the first perfume of a fashion house created by Christian Dior himself.